Hi everyone, it's me. Uh-oh, this couch creaks. Hi everyone, it's me. My name is Alanna and I'm a Canadian, but I have been living here in the UK for the last 9 years. Today, it is stormy as hell. You may hear the windows rattle. Really sorry about that. I am here with my morning coffee that I'm hoping not to spill. We have a cozy giant blanket and we are going to play Would You Rather British Edition. So get cozy. I hope you have a hot drink. If you're not familiar with Would You Rather, it's basically you get two choices, you gotta pick between them. But to make it relevant, it will be British versus like Canadian, North American options. And if you have any that you would like to suggest for a part 2, leave a comment down below. Unless you hate this concept, in which case just pretend we never did this. All right, before my coffee gets cold, let's begin. First up, would you rather full English or typical Canadian breakfast? This is without a doubt one of the easiest questions I've ever been asked, and that's a full English. When people ask what do you normally have for breakfast in Canada, cereal. I feel like cereal is huge in North America. I say North America. Canada and the US are very similar. If you were gonna go out for a breakfast, like something fancy, maybe like pancakes and scrambled eggs and bacon and that kind of stuff, but a full English is just like the perfect assortment of items on a single plate. I literally had a full English yesterday and it was delicious. Pass through UK customs or Canadian customs. I try to go back to Canada every summertime. So we do the customs dance once a year typically. I find UK customs a lot easier. Is that controversial? UK customs, because I have one of those passports that have the little thing in it, you know, where you can use the e-gate. So when I come back to the UK, I go up to an e-gate, I scan it, you look at the camera and you can see this horrible picture of yourself because you've just done an 8-hour flight, and then it lets me through. And that's it. When I go back to Canada, Canada has a different system if you've ever been. They've been doing it for a while now, but basically you go up to these big machines, kind of similar to an e-gate, but like these big kiosks, and you have to answer questions on the kiosk, like what you're bringing in, like a customs declaration. And there's another camera and it takes another horrible photo of you, and then you get printed a receipt, and the receipts have secret numbers on it and you don't know what the number means, and you bring the sheet of paper to a customs person and then they decide whether you can go through or you have to speak to somebody. But you never know what your number is going to indicate. You just hope for the best. So if I could choose UK customs, haven't had an issue yet. Knock on wood, I probably just jinxed it. Have access to cheap American or European holidays. Being in Canada, I'm from Southern Ontario, going to Europe on a trip was a huge deal because those flights are not cheap and you only typically get 2 weeks of vacation. So Southern Ontario, to go to say France or Spain or Italy or something for a holiday, you're not gonna go for 2-3 days because it's so far, the flights are so expensive. You're gonna go for a larger chunk of time, which means you don't have as much leftover holiday time for the rest of the year, and it just really sucks. So for me, growing up, we would drive into the US. So, you know, we'd go to Washington, DC or New York City or Chicago, and those were really fun holidays and fun experiences. But it is only one country. So yes, I would rather have access to cheap European holidays. There's so much more variety. I mean, we're talking multiple countries, right? Versus just the US. Now the US is very diverse, but it is still just one country. Hold that thought, my coffee's gonna get cold. Would you rather only eat in Nando's or Swiss Chalet for a week? So for those who are not familiar, most people watching my videos are British. Hi, how's it going? You probably know what Nando's is. Swiss Chalet is kind of the Canadian equivalent. It is a huge chain. They're all over the place. Whenever I would go, I would get like a half chicken with French fries, and they do these really nice hot rolls. And you get like gravy and that kind of stuff. At least that was my meal, but it's kind of what they're famous for. I guess the benefit is I feel like Nando's, you can get a lot of different stuff now, not necessarily good stuff. It's usually fine. Every time I've been to a Nando's, it's been fine. but I feel like you can get a lot of variety. So if I could only eat in one place for a week, the variety would probably be nice. But honestly, I haven't had Swiss Chalet maybe 7 years. And I think I could do it for a week. And I'd probably have a great time. Would you rather have a UK winter or a Canadian winter? How relevant. Here's the thing. I don't like winter, period. Not a Canadian one, not a British one. I don't like it. And there's pros and cons to both of them. So for instance, today here in England, it has been raining all day. It kind of looks bright on me, but it really isn't. So it's quite gray, overcast, rainy, cold, and a real wet into your bones kind of cold. In Canada, it's typically a bit brighter. You're more likely to have snow. You have to drive on the snow and drive on the ice, which always sucked, but it was brighter. And sometimes, technically, the temperature was colder, but I feel like that doesn't feel as cold as the wet cold here. This is a very difficult question. If I'm working from home, as I currently do, I would prefer a Canadian winter because I don't have to commute to work. If I had to commute to work like I've done in the past, I would prefer a British winter because you don't have to drive on ice and snow for like 5 months of the year. It's just gonna be dark and rainy and a bit depressing. Moving right along, we have, would you rather get the train to the next town or city or drive? I guess the idea being in Canada, you drive everywhere. There is a train service technically, because I live kind of near Toronto. Toronto's kind of like London, I guess. And there is a train service that kind of comes out of the city, but the whole purpose is to get you to Toronto. Growing up as a kid, as a teenager, I never just took the train to the next town over. The only time was when you were going into Toronto, like maybe for a concert. So the idea that here I could take the train, I'm taking the train tomorrow. I'm gonna go visit one of my girlfriends. We're going out to lunch and we're gonna do like a working afternoon, bring my laptop, you know, sit in a cafe, all that fun stuff. But I'm taking the train literally one town over to do that. And that is not possible in Canada. At least in my existence, in my lifetime, it wasn't what you did, you drove. Now, what do I prefer? The convenience of driving is hard to overstate, right? Being able to just jump in my car and go wherever I want to go. I really do miss that. Even here in England, I don't have a car anymore. I sold it back in 2020. It was a pile of junk, it was a pile of garbage. And it was probably stripped of parts and condensed into a tiny little metal cube when I sold it. This sounds difficult. I should just pick an answer already. You know what? I'm gonna say take the train. And if my train is late tomorrow, so help me God. Would you rather the local chippy or Canadian fast food? A lot of Canadian fast food is American fast food, which is available in the UK. The only one that I kind of miss would be like A&W, which I think is not come over to the UK yet. That's a very Canadian, or is it American? It's a very, I want to say, I gotta Google it. A&W Restaurants is an American fast food restaurant. So the only Canadian fast food that I miss is an American restaurant. At A&W, I would get a cheeseburger with bacon, french fries, and a root beer, which you can technically get here in pieces. Places don't really like root beer. Can you hear that motorcycle? So technically, I could get that here already. Whereas a local chippy, getting like decent fish and chips in Canada is doable, but I feel like here every town has a good chippy. You could just like get your fish and chips, you know what it's gonna be like. In Canada, I feel like you gotta go a bit further afield. I need to just pick an answer. I'm going to say local chippy. Fish and chips, yes please. Would you rather beans on toast or Kraft dinner? Beans on toast. I regularly have beans on toast for lunch here because it's like, it takes 30 seconds to make. It's very filling, especially in the wintertime when it's disgusting out. The sky is black. Kraft dinner is a really low quality macaroni and cheese. It's like a powdered cheese. You add milk and stuff to it. It's nostalgic because I had it as a kid, but it is not very good. Although, just to get everybody upset in the comments, when I have beans on toast, I have my beans in a bowl and I have my toast on a plate and I spoon the beans onto the toast as I'm eating it because I don't want the toast to get soggy. And I know that really upsets people, but I've said it now. So there's no taking it back. Would you rather Marmite versus poutine? Poutine. When you ask people what's a Canadian meal, most people only know poutine. It's French fries with gravy and cheese curds, which you do get in the UK, especially in the north, but you guys don't typically use cheese curds. You just have chips and gravy. I don't like it. The same way I don't put my beans on my toast to get soggy, I find poutine, the French fries get soggy and I don't like it. However, it is a million miles better than Marmite. I've tried Marmite like multiple times in different variations and different applications and I just can't. It's not for me. Would you rather Tesco sea salt and Chardonnay vinegar crisps or all dressed chips? All dressed chips. Side note, they started selling all dressed chips at Co-op. Loads of people sent me photos and messages and be like, hey, have you seen this? Your all dressed chips are here in the UK. Unfortunately, it is a lie. They are all dressed in name only. I have tried them. They're very barbecue kind of flavor, which is fine, but that's not what all dressed is. So I would recommend you try them, but they're not a true all dressed. And to this day, 9 years on, I haven't been able to find anything that close and I miss them greatly. Although Tesco sea salt and Chardonnay are very good. Actually, the Co-op salt and Chardonnay vinegar ones, those are even better than Tesco, but still all dressed. Would you rather a Greg's sausage roll or Timbits? I love that we've gotten to like the food section. I would say a Greg's sausage roll. The thing with Greg's is it's not the best sausage roll you're ever gonna have in your life, but you know what it's gonna be. It's dirt cheap, it's super fast, it's convenient, you got it and you go. And I'm definitely more of a savory person. Timbits are Tim Hortons little donut ball things. Again, they're not the best donut you'll ever have, but you know what you're gonna get. It's pretty cheap, it's convenient, it's fast, it's Timbits. But I'm more of a savory person, and if I had to, I would rather have a savory sausage roll than sweet Timbits. Would you rather have a 500-year-old cottage down a pretty lane in a village or have aircon? Very early on YouTube. So if you're new here, hi. Thank you for clicking on this video. I don't know how you found it. If you're not new here, hello, welcome back. I hope you're doing well and it's not too rainy where you are. And if it is raining, I hope you have a hot drink and maybe a fuzzy blanket. YouTube for me has always been like a digital scrapbook, a digital diary to kind of document my life here. I never intended to stay, be completely honest, but now it's been 9 years. And here we are. And very early on, one of my big complaints was the lack of air conditioning. In North America, it is very standard. Businesses, schools, homes, shops, like everybody has aircon. And the argument here that I always get when I complain about it is, we don't need it, it doesn't get hot enough. I would disagree. I'd say in the summertime here, I used to be a summer girly, not so much anymore because I find it so uncomfortable. You just like sweating, especially in this property. Love it, great place. It is built to retain heat. So in the summertime, holy God. Now, one of my dreams as a Canadian, we don't really have historical homes in Canada really. So one of my things was like, can you imagine living in like a historical cottage with a cute little lane and, you know, maybe outside of a village or a town? Like that seems really exciting to me. Or would I rather have aircon? I'm gonna take the cottage because guess what? I'm gonna put aircon into it. I'm just kidding. I'm sure that wouldn't work anyway, but I'd try. I don't know if you can tell, it just got really dark all of a sudden. I think we're about to have a storm. I hope the power doesn't go out. Would you rather English sparkling wine or Canadian ice wine? This is so funny. I'm actually working on an English wine video. I hope you guys like it. I think it's gonna be after this one because I'm still trying to get the wine. I love English wine. I think more people should try it. It should be more talked about. It's really fun. Canadian ice wine. So Canada produces I think, the most ice wine in the world. It's just the perfect climate for it. And Canadian ice wine is really good, but it's typically really sweet. It's kind of like a dessert wine, like an after meal kind of wine. If you can try it, again, I always think you should try things. If you have access to it, you should try it. But just as a general kind of choice, English wine is fab. And I like that there's a lot of variety. Canadian ice wine is typically just sweet. Still good though. Would you rather date a Brit or a Canadian? Come back to me on that one. They're both good in their own way. But I have been here for 9 years dating a British person, so what does that tell you? Football versus ice hockey, neither. Can I say neither? I hate football, I'm sorry. I think the football chants are really fun. I think the atmosphere is really fun, and I think it's more fun than ice hockey in Canada. I don't want either. Just, it's not for me. Would you rather live in a walkable town or have a big house? So you can't have a big house in the UK, although it's much more rare. In Canada, in the US, you just got so much more land. So more like regular people can have big homes. You don't have to be a millionaire. Although that's kind of changing now with the cost of living crisis. There's something about a walkable town though that is so special. And I think if you grew up in and around a walkable town or village or whatever, you don't understand how special that is. Where I'm from, I couldn't walk anywhere. You had to drive. So up until 16, I had to be driven everywhere if I wanted to go someplace, or you just stay at home. After 16, I pretty much had to get my driver's license immediately because you have to drive to get everywhere. And it's very isolating. You don't really feel as part of a community when everybody's just in their car. So walkable town, I would rather have a walkable town than a big house. And if that isn't maturity, I don't know what is, because I used to complain about the house sizes, and I probably still will. But walkable town is more important. Would you rather have a kettle that boils in 2 minutes or be able to blow dry your hair in the bathroom? You may have noticed, I don't really know how to do hair. And the last time I blow dried my hair was probably 6 months ago. So while not having a power outlet in the bathroom can be annoying, I actually don't really use it. In Canada, in the US, pretty much all bathrooms will have power outlets because our power won't kill you. So there'd be times like in high school where I'd have like a stereo plugged in and my toothbrush charger plugged in and a hair straightener plugged in, and you're having a great time in the bathroom. Here you do have the razor outlets, which can work with some appliances. We don't have any here. We have no outlets in the bathroom whatsoever, which just get a little bit annoying. But honestly, having a kettle that boils so quickly, when I have a coffee every morning, and in the wintertime, I've been having tea sort of like in the afternoon, evening, divine. Would you rather drive in the UK or drive in Canada? This is easy, Canada. Canada's roads and towns and transportation has been laid out much more recently than here in the UK. Here you have little country lanes that are supposed to be two-way traffic, but they only fit one car at a time. Terrifying. In Canada, the roads are so simple. They're straight, they're long. You don't even really have to pay attention if you don't want to. As much as I miss having a car here in England, and we will get a car again at some point, it will certainly make videos easier. Like we could go out and do stuff a bit easier, but I am terrified of driving in the UK again. It's scary, it's way more difficult. The roads and the layouts and stuff are all just a little bit wonky, which has a lot of personality, but it's not as convenient as the roads in Canada. Big shout out to Popcorn in our community who suggested this video. I got all of these prompts from our Discord, which is our chat room. If you want to get involved, you can get in there through Twitch, where I live stream, Patreon, where I do exclusive content, and YouTube memberships, which is also exclusive content. But if you have any would you rather British versus Canada stuff, leave a comment down below, or just leave a comment anyways. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying dry. It is absolutely tipping it down. It just got so dark in here all of a sudden. If you would like to watch more content, which would be totally awesome, why not check out this one? I talk about how I survive a British winter. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye!